Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. After talking about it for weeks, Brendan Sorsby is no longer playing college football, and we're not even going to do the intro this week. I'm so excited to finally be done talking about this. Ciarnan, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing much better now.
It's been a month of just talking about Brendan Sorsby.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we can complain about how we've had to talk about him so much and how no one made us talk about him except Brendan Sorsby did by not accepting the NCAA's decision to start to begin with.
Yeah. And what was all this for?
No idea. I did see someone on Twitter point out that Texas Tech, basically threw away all their credibility and any goodwill they had for a mid quarterback. Yep. And I decided to dive into the stats here.
Okay, here we go.
Indiana. I saw some people say they should vacate Eddie wins that he played in. Indiana went 1-6 with him at quarterback. Let's let Indiana pre-Kurt Cignetti keep that one win. They don't have a lot going for them, but at Indiana, 1-6, 57% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns to 5 picks. Not actually that bad. But then 2024, first year at Cincinnati, 64% completion percentage, 2,813 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 picks, as well as about 500 on the ground and 9 rushing touchdowns. Last year at Cincinnati, 7-5, 61.6% completion percentage, 27 touchdowns, 5 picks, 580 yards on the ground, 9 touchdowns. Again, not an awful quarterback by any metric, any stretch of the imagination, but to basically ruin your reputation for, like, if Johnny Manziel did this, if Cam Newton did, guys who had these scandals around them, but were transcendent talents that you'll ignore. You will take a ding to your credibility to have them on your team and help you win games. Brendan Sorsby is not that.
Yeah. It was completely pointless. It was a completely pointless exercise, this whole thing, because the booster, Campbell, has ruined his reputation as a booster because he's gone on this kind of scorched earth policy to get a mid-tier quarterback that you could easily pick up somewhere else. You've got the Texas AG openly threatening to sue the Big 12, which ultimately ended up in a legal complaint that was the grounds for them to file something. Now they didn't have to, but like, you're going like, there is no mechanism in here that makes any sense for Texas Tech to do what they did. And then releasing that 21-minute video where TCU just owned them, said, I'm not watching all that, which was objectively hilarious. It's pointless. Like, there was nothing good has come to Texas Tech out of this. They have only ruined their own reputation and made essentially transferring to them unattractive.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Ken Paxton's letter threatening to sue the Big 12 if they sanction Texas Tech in any way, because that did open up a legal avenue for the Big 12 to kind of make an argument against what Texas Tech was saying. And Tom Mars, who's been an attorney in a lot of college sports cases recently, against the NCAA, said, in 40 years as a lawyer, I've never seen such a devastating legal filing come out of left field. It was as creative as anything I've seen. Sidley Austin attorneys made the filing, and it was 47 pages. And I'm trying to see, it hasn't really come out what it was said exactly, but they really made 3 main requests to a federal judge. Granted injunction against Sorsby's injunction to allow it to exercise its First Amendment rights to invoke its authority under its bylaws, dismiss Paxton's claims that any sanction is an antitrust violation, and granted the right to penalize a member school for violating the Dormant Commerce Clause, which prevents state governments from enacting laws that impact competition or commerce across a variety of states. And this really, I think, forced more so Texas Tech's hand. It was framed as a mutual decision for Sorsby to go to the supplemental draft and for Texas Tech to continue. But I think it was Texas Tech and potentially the Texas government went to them and said, we know enough is enough. He cannot play. Get rid of him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that second point that really like drives home the message, because if this was an amalgamation of like state schools that had majority of their funding through the state, you could argue that that became a monopoly. But the fact of the matter is that these schools voluntarily signed the bylaws. That's the key point. Is like you can't you can't make a lawsuit on the fact that something is a monopoly when you agreed to join said monopoly. It doesn't work both ways.
Yeah, no, and it's ridiculous. I'm glad that this whole ordeal is over. I think this also, I don't want to go with the slippery slope thing, but you did have some Big 12 coaches saying, if we can gamble now, we're going to have experts come in from Las Vegas to help our players.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to happen. This was going to open Pandora's box. This now potentially gives at least conferences, if not the NCAA as a whole, an avenue to say, we have it in our bylaws. We are allowed to punish players and teams for whatever we want, similar to what the NFL did, as I brought up a week ago with Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Maybe they didn't break any rules on paper, but the leagues do have the power to punish players based on their rules. And you agree to those rules by agreeing to join that conference and play for a team within that conference. A whole other thing that's come out about this, as Texas Tech is taking much of the heat for this, Brendan Sorsby's agent is saying Cincinnati knew about the gambling addiction and did nothing until he left. Ken, what are your thoughts on this?
That is such a cop-out answer, because it isn't about the fact that he was gambling and since he knew. Yeah, they probably should have done something. That's a different can of worms. But don't go and turn around and say that his gambling and the transfer to Texas Tech was somehow Cincinnati's fault. Cincinnati should be punished for a separate issue, right? If that comes to light and they did actually know, then yeah, they should be punished through whatever mechanism is required. But that isn't the case here. The case is that he was gambling and then he transferred to Texas Tech, and therefore he is no longer eligible. That's the issue. So whoever his agent is, I think, what is it? Slavin. Thank you. I want to say Flavin for some reason, but Slavin doesn't have a leg to stand on here, and he's trying desperately to get the notoriety of like, oh yeah, but it wasn't really us. It wasn't me and my client. It was Cincinnati's fault. It's like, okay.
I agree. I think the issue is Cincinnati should be punished if there is undeniable proof, instead of just Brendan Sorsby and his agent, who just want Brendan Sorsby and his agent and probably Texas Tech a little bit to look good in this situation.
Yes.
Texas Tech was not, and most likely is not, going to be punished. They were just threatened to be punished. Mm-hmm. These are two entirely different situations. But Texas Tech also still was trying to break the rules. Mm-hmm. They were trying to play a player who was deemed ineligible by the NCAA through legal maneuvering. Two separate rules that were being broken that should both be punished accordingly. Now, like I said, Texas Tech avoided doing this, so they should not be punished any more than in the court of public opinion, which they have been. Now, Ciarnan, I have a question for you, though.
Okay.
About Brendan Sorsby. He is declared for the supplemental draft. We are not an NFL podcast. We cover the draft a little bit, but the supplemental draft has some rules. Teams are going to put in 3 weighted tiers. 6 or fewer wins are in tier 1. Non-playoff teams with more than 6 wins, tier 2. Playoff teams, for number 3, they are put in a draft order. Then those teams, if there's a player in the supplemental draft, they submit an email to the league office kind of saying, if this player was in the draft, here's where we would take him. And if a team that submits the highest bid, they win the player. If multiple teams in the same round kind of bid the same round, the tie goes to the team positioned higher. Now, if you take a player, let's say you go in, I would take Brendan Sorsby in the second round of the NFL draft if he were in it. You then lose your second round pick in the upcoming draft. So, Ciarnan, with that in mind and everything about him, where would you take Brendan Sorsby in a supplemental draft?
I think the answer is very simple. I wouldn't.
That's fair.
I just wouldn't. I would be like, you know what? If it comes down to me losing the potential for my pick next year, no, thank you. There is nothing, like you said with the Manziel Newton thing. There is no generational talent that he has that it is worth throwing yourself under the bus for, right? We've just every NFL team has just watched that happen with Texas Tech, and it's the same thing that's going to happen in the NFL, and the NFL are way more cutthroat. This is going to be cut and dry. No, we're good. Like, there's no point in taking him at any point.
Ciarnan, we are forgetting. Actually, you know what? No, that's fair. I asked you what you would do if you were an idiot.
Oh, I see. First round.
I was going to say second round, but then you would give him $230 million, $225 million guaranteed, because that is an improvement both in what he did and the guaranteed money you're giving him over what the Cleveland Browns did with Deshaun Watson. So congrats, Brendan Sorsby. Enjoy Cleveland and their rivers of fire. Without Myles Garrett, there is nothing to live for there.
Actually, that's arguably a fitting punishment for Sorsby. It's like, yeah, you've made it into the NFL. Now watch your team suck for the rest of eternity.
I admittedly don't think what Brendan Sorsby did is bad enough to deserve Cleveland.
Okay, fair enough. There are worse people in the NFL.
There's worse people in the NFL. There aren't many worse places you can go in the NFL.
Fair enough.
Nothing against the city of Cleveland.
Just the team.
We're talking the Browns.
Yeah.
I would argue most of the people of Cleveland don't deserve what the Browns have done to them. But thank God, Ciarnan, I think we're done on Brendan Sorsby talk.
Yeah, thankfully. Although, in fairness to Sorsby, this has got us through a couple of podcast episodes, because each time some new BS came out and we're like, okay, we have to talk about this now.
That's true. It did give us a lot to talk about in the offseason. Where there's not a lot of news.
I wish more teams would just tank their own credentials just to get a mid-tier quarterback in the transfer portal.
Except for our teams.
Obviously.
Honestly, though, I think if one of our teams did that, the crash out would be incredible content.
But the crash out would be so different from you to me, because like you would have legitimate anger and like resentment, and I would have like reserved soul crushing sadness.
I think it would really depend on how good the player was. If it was Brendan Sorsby, my anger would come from, we are doing all of this for Brendan Sorsby.
Yeah.
If it was one of those like Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton types, I would talk myself into it.
Yeah.
Or even
100%.
Not necessarily that great. Like even if it was just a little better.
Yeah. If like say for example, right, this happened with like Saquon Barkley, right? It would never, but let's just say that was the type of player. I'd be like, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, do whatever you want. I don't care. If we can get a guy like that, 100%. But if you're saying like a mid-tier quarterback into a transfer from Cincinnati, I'm like, this is just another hard pill to swallow.
Ciarnan, think of a player comp. What level player do you think you would be okay with dealing with having your team embroiled in this kind of scandal?
I would say like a Derrick Henry or a Saquon Barkley or someone like that, like a Calvin Johnson-esque wide receiver. I'd be 100% okay.
Okay.
Is that kind of what you're looking for, or am I?
Yeah, that is 100% what I'm looking for. I would go way lower.
What? Wait, what? Hold on.
Still good.
Maybe I'm missing the point here.
No, your answer is right. Like, what is the type of player who would make it in your brain okay to deal with this? I'm thinking way lower. Like, those are legends of the game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, AJ McCarron.
Really?
I mean, he won a couple natties.
No, I know, but he had Nick Saban at the helm.
Yeah,
and
like,
great defense.
Not necessarily AJ McCarron, but like a guy who on that level.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see your point.
So not exactly, but around that, he still is a plus to very good quarterback, but he's not one of the. In 50 years, when we talk about the best quarterbacks of our lifetimes, AJ McCarron's probably not making that list.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know.
Way more. I don't want to call him mid because, again, still a slightly above average or an above average college quarterback. But around there, like Toby Gerhardt's coming to mind. Like, he was a Heisman finalist at one point, and he was good, but again, not like a great legend of the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see what you mean by that. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. If I could go, you'd need to have like a legend to go through all this BS and to destroy the credibility of your school like that. You would have to, like, I guess it's different from the perspective of an Alabama fan because you're willing to accept a lower tier quarterback or like a position player that fills out your roster rather than a generational talent that is going to literally carry you through the playoffs. You might not win, but like that's kind of like where I'm going with it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I also think I am more delusional than you sometimes. And I think probably. I can talk myself. There's a line that once you reach that, I'm like, okay, they're dead to me. And I hope they suffer. I hope they go to Cleveland. But it takes a lot to get there. Okay,
gotcha.
Like, look, a gambling addiction where you bet $100,000 on games you're playing in, largely a victimless crime. No one's that badly impacted by it. I can talk myself into that if a player is decent enough.
Yeah.
But also, if other people were like, no, they should not be allowed to play, I'd be like, that's fair.
I'm just thinking Johnny Manziel during NIL would be absolutely nuts.
Yeah. No,
college, I think, would implode. Like, as a structure, college would just simply not exist.
Do you think he'd be better or worse?
I think he'd be better. I think he'd be so much better. Because now he's like, oh, yeah, I'm betting on myself. I'm going to show up and show out. And not like he didn't, but like, I think he would be way better.
My concern is if you gave him
he'd start throwing games.
He had to be not necessarily throwing games, not with betting, but he had to be a little sneaky with how he got the money. So on one hand, that did take up a lot of his attention, probably not that much, but a decent amount. But on the other hand, it was unlimited amounts of money. He could make unlimited amounts of money. And then knowing what we do know about him now with the substances and not wanting to study playbooks, I would be concerned that would be his focus, drinking, partying, and getting more money. Now, he would have to play reasonably well to keep getting money, but I don't know if he would be better.
I don't know. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
That's true. He might have run faster. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Would Johnny Manziel have been better, worse, or about the same in the NIL era?
That's a good question, actually. That's a really good question.
I think I'd be curious. I'd be curious what people think about that. Mm-hmm. But moving on off of Brendan Sorsby and just, partiers of the game, I feel old, Ciarnan.
Yeah.
I feel so old every day. I turned 30 in 3 months. And then I see Donovan McNabb Jr. is committing to UNLV. I don't like this.
Yeah, it does feel weird. But also Donovan McNabb was a starter, was a season starter when we were growing up, like, toddlers and maybe into adolescence.
Yes.
We were alive, but, we were still really young.
His last year in the NFL
was like 2012, wasn't it?
2011. We were in high school.
Yeah, but we were just in high school.
We were still in high school.
Fine.
It's just weird for me to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awful when you have 19, 20-year-olds and you're just like, oh, I'm a decade older than these guys.
Oh,
Damn.
that's awful. It's terrible. And now they want to take away my comfort 30-year-old freshman who was in minor league baseball for years and then decided to go be a quarterback in college again. They made me feel young, Ciarnan. But
young and alive.
Just young. We're surviving, not necessarily thriving. But while we're talking about children of players we watched growing up, not really, but Arch Manning, nephew of the Mannings and son of Cooper, I guess. Steve Sarkisian, head coach of Texas, said he would not be surprised if Arch came back for the 2027 season instead of going to the upcoming NFL draft. Can we stop pretending Arch Manning is this generational talent? I said it when he was being recruited. He's a 3-star talent with a 5-star name. He's been fine.
Yeah.
He's the kind of player where if he had a gambling scandal, you might be able to talk yourself into it.
Yes. Yeah. I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say if his name was, if Brendan Sorsby's name was Arch Manning, I'd be like, I'm willing to take the risk.
I think Arch is a little better than Brendan Sorsby. Yeah. He's like a tier or two above, but we act like he's in that conversation with Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel. Some people like doing that. Yeah. I don't think he's in the same tier as AJ McCarron. He's definitely not.
Yeah, I would say that. I'd say probably
well below.
Yeah.
But I do think I could talk myself into maybe an Arch Manning appearance with the gambling scandal. But Ciarnan, what are your thoughts on Arch coming back to Texas potentially next season?
I think this is a little bit in reverse. I think if he wins a national championship next year or this upcoming year, I actually think he comes back, because to have all of the hype around you, all of the last name, you're treated like a generational talent despite not being one. And I think if he wins one and comes back and can potentially win another one, I think that is more worth it for him in the long run than him to just win one and immediately go into the NFL. If he doesn't win one, I think his prospects are better going into the draft for 2027.
That's fair. I do think I think it's hard to say what he should or shouldn't do now, because it's going to depend on this year. Like you said, I'm curious to see if he can finally put it all together and show that he is this great generational quarterback that Texas wants us to think he is. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that it's still a debate. I feel like everything with Arch is a debate. It's really weird. He's going to go through all 4 years. I understand he doesn't really need to worry about money, but it's just interesting. I feel like a lot of guys, regardless of how much money their parents or their relatives have, they want to get out of college as soon as possible. Arch just doesn't really seem to care about getting to the NFL too fast, which I think is good to see. It shows a level of maturity, which I think teams might actually look at and sort of give it as a plus in his pre-draft process.
Yeah, that's what I genuinely believe. I think because it's a bit of a reverse from what people are saying. It's like, once you win a natty, your stock price is never higher, right? Your draft pick is never higher. I actually think that will be a detriment to him in the long run, because he'll go into the NFL with all sorts of, high confidence. You're coming off the back of a huge season. You've won a national championship. You've got all the momentum behind you. OTAs hit. Oh my God, this is a whole different level of beast. Whereas if you stay mature another year, really, really, really hone the simple fundamental things that NFL scouts are looking for, I think that benefits him in the long run and whatever team he's drafted for way more.
That's true. I do think, though, at the same time, why I'm saying, you need to wait for this year. You don't want to do what Drew Aller did, where you are a lock to be a first-round pick. You come back, your team falls apart, your coach gets fired, you shred your knee, I think it was an ACL.
Yeah, his knee. Yeah.
And then you fall to the third round. Not as drastic of a fall as we've seen, but it still is the difference between arguably generational wealth and stuff you could blow through in 3 years. I'm not saying Drew Aller will do that, but it's a huge drop off in money. So it's something to worry about.
Mm-hmm. No, it is. But it's one of those things. It's like you have to wait till the end of the season.
Yeah, that's true. But moving on to another NFL rookie, Zachariah Branch, discussed why he transferred from USC, to Georgia. He couldn't use the weight room after hours due to the fact that a few years ago, USC was sued for a player who was benching 275 pounds, a coach not paying attention who was supposed to be spotting him, knocked the bar, fell on the player's neck. He sued. They set it out of court. Now, USC players cannot use the weight room after hours. Ciarnan, thoughts on Zachariah Branch's reason for transferring and USC as a whole?
The USC thing, that's a really sucky thing to have to deal with. And like, you can't use facilities when you clearly want to. That's an unfortunate legal problem, but I actually get where he's coming from. Like, it's like, if you want to work out and get another hour session in where the other guys are, in bed or like, relaxing or something, to me, that shows drive. So I'm like, fair play to you. If that's what you had to do to, gain success, go do it. And it looks like it worked out for him.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous, by the way. Like, the lawsuit was 15 years ago. Terrible situation.
Yeah.
But not being able to use the football facilities at all after hours is insane. If you want to tell a player, hey, here's why, but we don't really want you lifting weights late into the night because of this situation. But you should be able to go into the football facilities and do other things.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So I think that is part of the reason why USC has struggled lately.
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly one of them. And then further down the article, apparently USC is quite small in terms of athletic facilities, and like other sports teams were using it. And I'm just like, for a school like USC, I feel like they would have a separate football facility to weight train and do all these sort of things. Like, that's surprising to me.
I feel like USC is weird because they're, based on where they are and their history, they care a lot about other sports too.
Yeah. Like
in the SEC and a lot of the Big Ten schools, it's football.
Mm-hmm.
Not having your own football facilities at a program as historic as USC, even with what it's just about caring about other sports, is insane.
Mm.
That is absolutely crazy that he can't work out where he wants during the day because other sports are using it.
Yeah, that seems really weird to me, because like the thing that we keep seeing over and over again is college football is the driver. It just is. Whether it's through our own selfish interests or whatever, college football makes all of the money that then gets dissipated out into other sports. That's how it is. There are certain schools where that number is a lot closer, only making a couple million in profit versus, Alabama making 53 million or 153 million in profit, or whatever that random statistic I showed you last year was. Yeah. But like, the gap might be smaller, but it is still the driver regardless. So if you want to have a successful program, you have to provide for the program that makes you the most money. Yes, it's a crappy way of doing things, but using those funds to supplement other sports is how you should do it.
Yeah, and we can talk about how other sports make a certain, like basketball probably ranks closely.
Yeah,
in a lot of schools with revenue. USC makes enough money. They make so much money, and I guarantee you 75, if not more, a higher percentage of it probably comes from football. Mm-hmm. That's what they're known for. Get them their own facility. I understand it's Southern California and there's not a lot of space. Find somewhere. Like, I don't care if you buy a decommissioned aircraft carrier and have the football team work out on that.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. They probably could afford a decommissioned aircraft carrier.
Yeah. How much is a decommissioned aircraft carrier?
Good question. You'd have to ask the Russians and Pepsi how they got theirs.
I think $1 billion is like.
And if you
what
don't
it
know
would have
that
been.
story, by the way, people, look it up. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so funny. But I think it was they were going to get like $1 billion. Decommissioned conventionally powered aircraft carriers are sold for 1 cent to shipbreaking companies, and a nuclear powered one can exceed $1 billion. So, Ciarnan, anywhere between a penny and $1 billion is how much USC would have to spend.
Kev, do you want to buy a decommissioned aircraft carrier with me?
Sure. If we can find one for, if someone is selling an aircraft carrier, I will buy it for $1.
Yeah.
That's 100 times more than a scrapyard would get for it. Now, the only issue here is, where would we put
it? I haven't thought that far ahead.
Would we just live on it, Ciarnan?
Oh, there's an idea.
We'll record the podcast from it. Wi-Fi might be spotty.
We are out here in the Drake's Passage.
We'd have to rebrand the show to be pirate themed.
Of course.
But we already have Mike Leach basically as an unofficial mascot.
Oh, yeah. So we're good.
Yeah.
We're the Mike Leach tailgate on the
Seven Seas,
or we could do on the deck, fore and aft. Tailgate on the deck.
That's a good one. Yeah. All right.
There we go.
We're going to be pirate themed.
Done. Yeah.
Perfect. But back to college football. While we're talking about Georgia football, they are playing a game against Florida State. They initially were going to do a home and home series. That was canceled. Now they're doing a neutral site game. And Ciarnan, some intelligence, they're doing a neutral site game, which we're usually against, but it's in Nashville.
I'm still against it.
I'm against it, but I'm less against it than if it was in Johannesburg.
That's a pull.
I don't know why I just picked the South African.
Yeah, I don't either, but that's good. That's a good point.
But like, something stupid like that really doesn't care about football. I am more pro this than anything trying to play in Europe.
Yes. However, what are you doing? This isn't a professional league. Those teams are not from there. Their fans will be forced to travel. And also, just a really quick point that doesn't necessarily it's not necessarily college football related, but a Major League Rugby game was also played in Nashville this year. Of two teams Nashville doesn't have a team, but two teams from the MLR went down to Nashville to play a game. The fans aren't there, unfortunately. I wish there were. And also, what is Nashville doing with all this additional revenue that they're generating from these games? Like, I get a team. I don't know what to tell you.
So I get wanting to play a game in a neutral site because the home and home had to be canceled. I really do. Play it at Mercedes-Benz or in Jacksonville.
It's not hard to find a venue.
No. It at least in the state, and I understand there's probably a lot of Georgia fans in the Nashville area because Vanderbilt was garbage for so long. But it's stop with the neutral site shit.
Yeah.
College football is great because of the campuses, the tradition, the history. I don't need to see Georgia and Florida State play in Nissan Stadium. Or the Titans' new stadium will probably be done by then. I think they're building a new one.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Stop it. Have them play just in Athens or in Tallahassee.
Yeah. I hate neutral site games. If it's a preseason game, if it's a preseason friendly or something like that, and you want to get more people for your team, like the Premier League and La Liga do it a lot for soccer, that's fine. Right? I'm fine with preseason games that go travel the world and things like that, new fans, whatever, fine. But during the season, you play at the stadium. One or the other, it doesn't matter to me which one, but you play at the home venue.
I also am okay with neutral site games early in the season, like week 0 or week 1. And this game could be week 1. I'm more okay with it in that instance. But this game also doesn't move the needle as much as it would if both teams were good. I understand Florida State beat Alabama last year. That's not that much of an accomplishment. We saw what Indiana did to them. They haven't been good in 12 years since Alabama killed DeAndre Francois to open the season. They've just been bad since.
Yeah.
And Georgia is not quite as dominant as they were 3-4 years ago, but they're still a very good team that will beat most people in front of them. Unless something changes at Florida State drastically in the next year or two, it's going to be a bloodbath. I don't see the point of it. I don't see anyone getting excited for this. More people will be on Broadway by halftime than they will in the stands watching the game because it's going to get that ugly that fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, Nashville's a great town to do other things in. Right? There's a huge country music that, like, it is the capital city of country music. Leave it alone. It's doing fine. There's no shortage of bachelorette trips and boys pissing off of balconies there. You're fine.
Morgan Wallen yeeting chairs on the street below.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's there. There's enough to do. We don't need to add a murder across the river in the stadium. But moving on. By the way, I got stuff to do. No big topic this week. We're going to do a little shorter episode. We're going to try that out. But Ciarnan, Brett McMurphy reported that Iowa State and Kansas State have appealed the Big 12's fine of $500,000 to them opting out of bowl games, reducing it to $250,000. I don't have an issue with this. Reduce the fine, whatever. However, look, Ciarnan, teams opting out of bowl games facing consequences instead of Notre Dame fans arguing it's a fight for survival or something because they weren't good enough to get into the playoffs.
It's insufferable. It's insufferable. I used to like Notre Dame. I used to genuinely be on their side for most things. Probably because I didn't do this podcast and didn't understand the history of all the crap that they had done because they had such good marketing that it completely blinded me to it. However, I really don't like them now. They're so annoying.
That's called indoctrination, Ciarnan.
Yeah. It's called growth in this context.
That's fair. Yeah. So Notre Dame sucks. And I feel like we haven't talked about that in a while because Brendan Sorsby has taken up all of our attention. My God, they're just awful. I hate them.
And we'll leave it at that. Moving on.
Yeah, but thoughts on the fines being reduced?
I think that the fines being reduced is probably a good thing in the long run. It's like, okay, yes, you made this contractual agreement, but it's not going to be so heavily penalized for it. So it's one of those things that, it's a slap on the wrist, but like there's clear precedent set where there are ramifications if you don't, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, we've been lenient. We've gotten that out of the way. Do it again. Now there's like the full repercussions.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I agree. I think they should just do it in tiers, kind of like they do with field storming, First time 250, second time 5, third time, I don't know, bowl ban for a couple years or something. I don't know. I think that's a little drastic, but
the field storming gets me. If you are a Power 4 school, you do not get to you get fined for field storming. If you are not and you beat a Power 4 team, there's no fine.
I mean, I think it's player and student safety.
I know, but come on.
I do think field storming is giving little brother and poverty program, if we're being 100% honest.
Yeah, but at the same time, say, I don't even have it. If Memphis beats, Ohio State.
Here's the problem with that, Ciarnan. Ohio State will never be playing in Memphis.
That's not my point. My point is that if that were to happen, I'm okay with field storming.
No, I agree. I'm not saying I'm against field storming. I'm just saying, like, Georgia fans this year We're like, if we beat Alabama, should we storm the field? Oh, if Alabama beats us, would they storm the field? No. First off, Alabama doesn't storm the field. We've won too much for that.
Yeah. Yes.
Second of all, Georgia, even having the question, should they storm the field, just shows it doesn't matter how great they've been. They will be in the shadow of Alabama and what Alabama has built.
Yes, that I get.
My thing with pointing out like the fact like Memphis, Ohio State would never go to Memphis. That's why field storming largely to me gives little brother, because for them to be in your home stadium, it would have to be a conference game, a rivalry, or just two big name programs, and one of them is not good, like USC.
Okay, so if I said Nebraska, Ohio State,
Nebraska is a poverty program. They're a little brother, and they are a poverty program at this point in time.
Okay.
Penn State, if they played Ohio State and won, big if on that one, I'm sorry, Ciarnan, they are little brher.
I
don't think I would call them
We've been little brother for a while.
Yes. I don't know. Last year, yes, but his recent history, I don't know if I would call them poverty, but little brother definitely.
Yeah, no, little brother, certainly, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've brought that up on the podcast before. Like, we are Michigan, and it's Ohio State's the big brother that wins basically everything. Michigan that can occasionally knock them off and get one good blow in. And then there's Penn State that tricks Ohio State and punches them in the nuts because they can't face them eye to eye. That's what we do every now and again, but we get pummeled for it the next year.
Or, you go, hey, what's over there? You sucker punch Ohio State. They turn around and just shove you in a locker.
Yes.
That minute.
Yes.
But yeah, so I don't know why we started talking about field storming, but Ciarnan's pro field storming. I'm not anti-field storming, but no,
poverty program field storming.
Poverty program. All right, Ciarnan. We're excited for college football to come back. That always kicks off, obviously, with week 0, the Aer Lingus Classic. And TCU is bringing the heat this year for their game against Jordan's sugar daddy with their Aer Lingus Classic uniforms they're cool. I like the purple accents, which they always have. I do like the white, red. There's something that really stands out to me.
Love it.
The shamrock in the frog's mouth.
Love it.
It's incredible. We need more teams to do fun stuff like this. I'm not necessarily saying the college football playoffs or the national championship, but the Aer Lingus Classic, the Rose Bowl, when teams incorporate a rose into their logo. Just the Pop-Tarts Bowl with Pop-Tart sprinkles kind of in the jerseys. Make college football fun again.
Yes. Yeah, that's so good. I really, really wish we did the logos after this came out, because I'd be like, I don't care. It's a primary logo.
It's a primary logo for 1 week, Ciarnan.
That's fine. That's all I needed.
It's incredible. I'm excited to see if UNC also pulls off some heat, because on the one hand, that is fun, and Bill Belichick famously is anti-fun. However, Bill Belichick also loves Ireland, it seems.
Yes. And
he's learning how to have fun. Partially because he has to for college, partially because he probably is trying to keep his girlfriend from leaving him. But I'm excited for the Aer Lingus Classic, Ciarnan. We are so close to the season coming up.
Yeah.
I think we should do more stuff this season, Ciarnan.
What do you mean?
Live shows.
All right, then.
More live streams. Maybe some merch. Maybe we'll get crazy.
Maybe we really shell out.
Yeah.
No, just on one quick point on the Aer Lingus Classic. The Aer Lingus Classic is the only neutral site, quote unquote, we are okay with, because it's so cool.
Specifically, the only neutral site European game we're okay with.
Yes.
Or international one we're okay with.
Yes, it's the only one that we're completely okay with.
Only one, because it's sick. They do it right. It's fun. It's awesome. And also, I mean, who doesn't love Ireland?
Exactly.
Except the British, but they don't.
They don't count. Yeah.
Because no one loves them. All right, everyone. That's our show for this week. Everyone have a good, safe, fun rest of your weekend. Don't drink too much. And if you do, don't drive. And goodbye.
See ya.
They're eating the dogs, Ciarnan, in Tuscaloosa.
They're eating the
you know
dogs.
that?
They were
They're
eating
the dogs.
Oh, a meth raccoon.
Yeah.
Just awful. There is nothing good about this. It's the worst possible scenario for the CFP, for the national championship.
Notre Dame is a mid-program with really good marketing.
And the Michigan players are going to look at that, and anybody who's committing to Michigan in the next years and just go, I want to beat them even more. Like, I wanted to beat them when I first came to the school. Recruits are going to see this.
You have, as some fans have put it, a mascot flashing their pop tussie out. Oh,
God, that's going to be part of our intro next year. Oh, shit.